Being busy is no excuse to be fat. Being busy is no excuse to be unhealthy. Guess what? Some of the busiest people in the world are also both pretty healthy and really in shape. Yes, it is a tough truth to hear. Being busy, not having a lot of time, is an excuse for many people to not lose weight, is an excuse for many people to stay fat, is an excuse for many people to not exercise, to go for fast food instead of cooking meals at home. But here's the thing. They are just excuses. However, I'm going to tell you 7 different tips that you can incorporate into your own life to make losing weight, getting healthy, getting skinny easier. At the end of the day, it really just comes down to your habits and what you prioritize. I'm going to show you why changing your habits, prioritizing different things will not only make losing weight possible, but easier even if you have no time. First things first, welcome back to my channel. My name is Whitney Holcomb and I am author of the book 1 Year, 100 Pounds. For those of you who are new here, I lost 100 pounds on my own when I was 14 years old and I've kept it off for over 20 years. My book is about my weight loss journey, how I did it, but it's also a tough love guide for how you can do it too. I also have my guided weight loss journals available on my website and on Amazon. These journals are formatted after my very own journals, the same method I used to lose 100 pounds in 1 year, still the same method I use today. These journals are designed to help you on your own weight loss journey to transforming your life in 1 year. If you want to check those out, you can go to the links in the description below. So moving right back into it. Being busy is an excuse for many people to stay fat. Okay, we know this. We've all been there before. We've all said it ourselves before. I've said it myself before, okay? But I recently got a comment from someone. Well, I say recently. It's actually probably months ago, but I'm just now getting around to making this video. But I got a comment from someone and she was like, look, I need some tips for, staying on track and losing weight. Like I have a lot of weight to lose, but I work a really demanding job. I think she said she works like 6 to 7 days a week. She's like, I got to get up really early at like 4 or 5 a.m. just to get there. The commute's long and I don't get home till like maybe 7:30, 8. And by then, like I'm just exhausted and I don't want to cook anything and I don't want to work out. So she was like, literally, like how do you do it? How am I supposed to find time to do all this when I have such a demanding schedule? So I want to first start off by saying, look, not having a lot of time, being busy, it is a pretty valid excuse. I'm not saying that, that you're just totally lazy if you're using being busy as an excuse to not work out or to not eat healthy. Because the reality is we do not all have the same hours in the day. Okay. We just don't. Like I have a lot more free time on my hands, at least now at this point, than I know many of you, right? I know that some of you are mothers. Some of you have 2 jobs, right? You're going to school and working. There's a lot of things going on in your life. I get that. I've been there before too, working 6 days a week, getting up early, having to do all my stuff before I had to go to work. And then I wouldn't get off work until sometimes 12, 1 a.m., right? Like I was living in the city when I was working in nightlife. So yeah, I know that it can be hard. Like you don't have a lot of time for anything outside of work sometimes. But that's why you have to have certain things as your priorities. That's why you have to have certain habits and a mindset in place so that you can get in shape or stay in shape while also still being busy. That's literally just what it comes down to. Okay. Because like I said before, I know it's like a valid excuse. I know we do not all have the same hours in the day, but okay, I guarantee you there are plenty of other people who are in the same situation as you. The difference with them is they make the time, okay? They have different habits that allow them to lose weight or to naturally stay leaner. So the first habit or the first tip I have for you right now is that you need to accept that it's going to be hard, okay? Look, like I just said, we don't all have the same hours in the day, okay? Your journey may be a lot different than mine. We all have different circumstances. We all grew up differently. We all have different challenges. You may have a harder time at losing weight than I did, okay? It may be easier for some people. It may be harder. You just have to accept that that is where you are right now. You having it harder than someone else doesn't change the fact that you are still the only person who can do anything about your situation. Okay. Losing weight is a very personal thing. It is it's you against yourself, right? You have to overcome your own desires, your own addictions. You have to do the work. No one can burn the calories for you. No one can force you to eat certain things, right? You have to make all those decisions. And yes, there are so many different other circumstances that make those decisions harder, but it still comes down to you. So you have to accept that, right? You have to stop using my life is harder and this is why, blah, blah, blah. You you have to stop the excuses. Even if they're valid, I get it. You're a single mom and you've got all these things going on. I get it, okay? I feel for you. It still comes down to you though. Okay, it still comes down to you. If this is what you want, if you want to lose weight, if you want to get healthier, it's still going to come down to you. And you just have to accept that, yeah, it's going to be harder for you than it is for like, oh, the young 20-something single girl who, has a great job in the city and she can go to Pilates whenever she wants. Yeah, that's awesome for her. That's not your life. That's not your path. It's going to be harder for you. It is what it is. The only positive, you can take from that is like, hey, yeah, because it is harder for you, it's going to be even more of an accomplishment once you do finally accomplish it. Okay. So number one, accept that it's going to be hard. This is not going to be an easy journey. Funny thing is though, once you kind of accept that it is hard, once you accept that this is a challenge, then you stop, feeling bad for yourself or you stop making excuses is actually when it gets easier. Okay. The second big thing I would suggest is to meal prep. And very specifically, this commenter, the subscriber, she said that, well, where I am at work, like there's not a lot of healthy options around me. And so I end up getting fast food. So this is the number one thing I would say, meal prep then, okay? You need to make sure that you are not in a situation where you don't have options, okay? So if you do go to work and there's nothing near you but like a McDonald's or whatever, okay, and it's too hard for you to resist all the bad stuff, then you need to start bringing your own food. And to do that, you're gonna have to meal prep. And I know you're like, well, but I have no time to meal prep. Well, you're gonna have to find the time. I know this is where it gets hard, right? The thing with meal prepping is if you do it right and you can cook a bunch of food like in bulk at one time, yeah, it might take like a few hours or something, but it's only like maybe 1 or 2 days a week, okay? So you need to find that 1 or 2 days a week. Maybe it is gonna have to be when you come home from work and you're so tired because you got up at 4 a.m., you know what? You just might have to grin and bear it and spend the next 2 hours, even though you're tired, cooking those meals, okay? It's gonna be a night of probably not a lot of sleep, but you know what? Then the meals are gonna be cooked. You're gonna have it ready for you to go in the morning, and then you can stay on track with your weight loss, okay? So you have to decide, am I just gonna tough it out now? Right? Am I just gonna make this work somehow so that I can be successful in the future? Or am I just going to stay the same? That's always what it comes down to. That's what discipline is, right? It is giving up what you want now for what you want in the future. So if what you want now is just to go home and, eat a TV dinner or eat the fast food you picked up on the way and then go to sleep, well, you could do that, but that's not going to get you any skinnier. That's not going to help you lose weight. That's not going to get you healthier, is it? So you have to decide, am I going to, suck it up now for what I want later or stay the same? There's only 2 options here. And again, I know you're going to say, well, you don't understand because I am so tired and you don't have this. I know. I'm not saying that it's not hard. Again, accept that it's hard, but it's what you have to do. All right. So I really think meal prepping is really beneficial. And look, I'm guilty of not doing it as much myself, which is why I can say that when I don't do it, I am more likely to get off track or to mindlessly eat than when I have stuff that's already like prepped and ready for me to go. Because it is just easier to go into your kitchen and get something that's quick and easy, especially when you're tired or you're bored or whatever, than it is, for you to be like, oh, I'm hungry. And oh, shoot, now I have all this healthy food in here, but it's not all put together. And I'm tired. I'm hungry now. I want to eat now. So what do? You go for whatever is easier, right? And that's usually tends to be something that you just put in the microwave or in the oven for a few minutes and it's already cooked for you. It's usually not the healthiest stuff, right? So meal prepping is really big. I would do this sometimes when I was working in New York City, working like 8, 10, well, actually it was like more like 10-hour days. I would get up early in the morning. I would get on the train, go to my workout class, do the workout, take a shower. As soon as I did that, get back on the train, go to work where I would be working until closing 12 a.m., get an Uber, go home, be home at like 1:30 a.m. And then the next day I would do it all over again. Okay. And on top of that, I would often bring my lunches to work sometimes because I just didn't want to spend so much money having to get food out all the time. So I also always made sure to pack something with me. And again, it was easy stuff, right? So I actually didn't do a lot of meal prepping back then too. I have to admit. But that's because I usually stuck with things that were just easy and simple, which is another tip that I'm going to get to in just a minute. But yes, meal prepping, knowing what and when you're going to eat your food, bringing it with you so that you always have that option. Okay. That way it takes away this opportunity for you to slip up on your plan. Okay, because if you don't have that with you, then you may very well be like, okay, well, I'm hungry. Oh no, I have no excuse but to get the double, Big Mac from McDonald's, whatever they serve there now. I haven't been there in so long, but you know what I mean? Like, because if you have, the sandwich that you packed, the fruit that you packed, and it's in your purse, it's in your lunchbox or whatever, then you have less excuse to go to McDonald's, right? Then you have less excuse to get off of your diet. Okay, the second tip is that you have to be more intentional with your time. You have to prioritize different things, okay? And again, this goes back to, it's hard. Your life is going to be harder, all right, than other people who have more time. But like I said in the example, when I was working, 6-7 days a week in New York City, I got up early, and most of my time, honestly, was just spent doing that. I would get up and then I would go, do my workout either at the gym, or I would take a class, I'd shower at the gym or at, the workout studio, hop on the train, maybe sometimes I would pick up something for lunch, right? If I didn't already pack it, and then go to work, and then that was it. I mean, I could have very easily done other stuff with my time, right? Whatever little time I did have before I had to go to work. But because I made that a priority, because I made working out, staying on some kind of schedule a priority, that's what I chose to do with my time. Okay. And again, it wasn't easy cutting it close half the time, but I made it happen. I still did it, even though I was tired from the night before. And there were maybe other things, I wanted to do with my time. Working out was a priority for me. So I made it happen. So that's what you're going to have to do as well. If you are super busy with school, with your commute, with whatever, any time you do have left is going to have to be spent working towards this goal. And now I know you're going to be like, oh, but I want to have some kind of life. I get that. But again, this goes back to discipline, sacrificing what you want now for what you want in the future. Unfortunately, I know that, they talk about self-love and enjoying your life and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, that's awesome, but not when you have a goal that you need to meet, okay? Sometimes when you have a goal, whether it's a weight loss goal, whether it's any kind of goal, I think we all can agree that sometimes you can't always just do whatever you want to do. You have to make things a priority if you want them to happen. And I don't know why that's so toxic to say, but this is especially true when it comes to weight loss. Okay, you just can't. If you only have an hour free each day and weight loss is your goal, that hour should be spent working out or meal prepping or doing something that is going to get you closer to your goal. No, you don't get to just sit on your butt and scroll or, go to brunch with your friends. If you have a goal and you want to meet it, you have to spend whatever time you do have working towards that goal. So again, we go back to number one tip. Accept that it's going to be hard. Accept that you're going to have to do things that you don't want to do. So yeah, you have to be more intentional with your time. I mean, if someone calls you up after work and they're like, hey, you want to go to happy hour or do blah, 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 but you already planned, to do your workout, then you're going to have to tell your friend, no, I have to do my workout. Okay. If they want to do the workout with you, awesome. You can get, 2 things done at one time, socializing and getting your workout. But if they don't, then tough luck. Okay, again, if you want to complete this goal, you're going to have to do the hard things. You're going to have to do the things that you don't want to do. Okay, so you have to be more intentional with your time. And this requires planning too. I always talk about my journals, right? And that was a big thing for me. Journaling was a huge thing for me. And that's why I created the journals for you. I promise this is not just a plug. I literally did create them because they were so paramount to my success and still are even now whenever I want to get something done. Planning your day out. Okay. There's a quote. It's like, if you want to be successful, you have to plan to be successful. It doesn't just happen. Okay. You don't just go, oh, I think I'm just going to do this today and that today. And then, oh my God, now I'm skinny. It doesn't happen like that. Okay. At least not if you're someone with the obesity mindset. Okay. Which we talk about on this channel. There are some people who it is effortless for them to be skinny, but that's not us. Okay. Cause we have the obesity genes. All right. So it's harder for us. So we have to be more intentional about it. So plan your days. Plan your days the day before. Know what you're going to be eating, what you're going to be doing for your workout, what you're going to be doing every hour. So you know that you can plan to meet this goal. Okay. You can't just, la-di-da around and just hope the weight falls off, because it's not going to, especially when you're busy. All right. So you have to do your best to plan your days out. I use a journal. You can use an app, whatever it is. I plan my meals out, plan workouts out. That helps me stay on track. It just does. Having that, it's set in stone, you can go back to it. I think it just makes it's something that psychologically, I think it makes it easier for you to stick to your goals and to your plans if you have it written down. So you have to be more intentional if you want to lose weight. And this could even mean like being more intentional about like every action you take, like even like moving more throughout the day. Okay. So I always talk about NEAT a lot on here, which is like non-exercise activity thermogenesis, something like that. Basically, it is all the calories that, you burn, or the movement that you do throughout the day that's not exercise. Okay. So again, remember, everything you do burns calories. Me, waving at you right now burns calories. If you can consciously increase this energy output, okay? So whether it's, running more errands in the office, getting some extra steps in, fidgeting more, right? Doing stuff like that actually surprisingly can burn a lot more calories throughout the day. So what this could look like, okay, if you have a desk job, I don't know, maybe every like 30 minutes you get up and you do like 10 squats, or, you offer to run all the errands. You go back and forth to the coffee machine, and you park farther away in the parking lot. You take the stairs instead of the escalator. All these little things add up, but you do have to be intentional about them. So they do have to be, in the back of your mind. And that's why I would suggest, like, even in your journal, you could write down goals like, okay, today I'm going to walk up 5 flights of stairs, I don't know, or I'm going to make sure I get this step count in, or, at the office, I'm going to get up every hour and do 10 squats, right? You have to be more intentional, because again, you're not, especially if this is not already in your habits, right? This is not something that you're used to. You're not used to being an active or healthy person. You have to be more intentional about it. You have to plan to do it. Otherwise you won't do it, right? So be more intentional with your time, plan for success. Okay. My next tip is to buy more frozen veggies, more frozen meals. And I say this because, again, I remember being in New York City, working a lot. I would go to the grocery store and I would get plan to eat healthy, get a bunch of produce and stuff. And then only to realize like half the time it would go bad, because I just was, I was out a lot. I didn't have time to come home and, cook it in time. And so not only would I waste a lot of money, but then it was also just more excuse for me to be like, oh, I guess I'm going out to eat right now. Like, I guess I can't eat that healthy salad I was planning because the lettuce is bad. So buy more frozen veggies, buy more things that don't go bad so quickly, healthy things, obviously. Even if you have to meal prep some of this stuff ahead of time and then put it in the freezer, you know what I mean? So you can just thaw it out. And honestly, I just think that this makes it easier as well. Like, I am someone like, I don't love to cook, at least not on a regular basis. I just find like it's a lot of work, right? And so I like to keep things simple and easy, especially when I'm hungry. So very minimal cooking, right? Very minimal, like having to prepare it. It's just easier for me, especially when I'm trying to stay on track with, a weight loss goal. Having things that are, in the freezer, I can just thaw out real quick or put in the microwave real quick. It just makes it easier to stay on track. I don't have to worry about it going bad. And then I have less excuse to be lazy. You know what I mean? Because it's one thing to say like, okay, well, I'm too lazy to, roast a chicken and make mashed potatoes and do all this stuff, versus like, oh, all I have to do is literally just, put it in the microwave for a little bit and it thaws out, and then there we go, right? So yeah, buy more things, buy more foods that are just easier for you. And I would even say like, look, if you have to buy one of those meal planning services where the meals are already made for you, obviously I know this is only if you have the discretionary income, right? Because I know it's not, feasible for everyone, but look, if you do, or if you can find a way to, budget it so that you can get these already prepared meals, I mean, I think it is worth it, right? To spend your money on something like that versus other silly things. We can spend $100 on Amazon every single day buying random stuff, right? So if you can find a way to instead of spending $100 on Amazon every day, spend that on your meals, right? Healthy meals that are already prepped for you. If it's going to help you lose weight, get healthy, and lead a healthier, longer life, then yeah, I would say spend the money there. Again, this just makes it easier for you, and it gives you less excuse to go for the bad stuff. Because if your meal's already there for you, what can you really say, right? It's already there for you. It's already prepped. All you gotta do is put in the microwave. You can't make excuses for yourself anymore, right? The next tip is you basically following up with just what I just said, making sure that, your meals are easy and accessible, but reconsider how you eat. I think that a lot of us think, or we growing up to think, oh, we have to have a complete meal every single day, and it has to be really complicated, and have to be today we're having tacos, and then for lunch I'm gonna have meatloaf, and then for dinner it's a completely different meal, right? There is no right or wrong way to eat throughout the day. And what I mean is again, we have this idea oh, well, for breakfast we have pancakes, and then for lunch then we can have a sandwich. You can eat a sandwich for breakfast if you want to. You can eat broccoli and grilled chicken for breakfast if you want to. But even more so, what I'm talking about is get used to eating simpler, easy things. Like, okay, again, the excuse that like, oh, well, I'm out and about and the only options available are like McDonald's or whatever. Well, is there a grocery store available? I feel like in most places in the US, like there is a grocery store, like, I don't know, every few miles, right? You can go to the grocery store if you're hungry, get an apple, get a couple apples, get like a bag of nuts, get some hard-boiled eggs that are already prepped, right? Get like a little thing of cooked chicken. It's already pre-cooked. All you have to do is heat it up or even eat it cold. And there you go. You have a whole meal. You have a whole meal. Not only was it easy, okay? It's easy. It's all pretty much already prepped for you. Less expensive probably than a fast food meal. And it's also super filling. Okay, these are healthy foods that are super filling, that are super easy. So for me, like when I do snacks, like I don't do snacks like, oh, I'm gonna have like, potato chips or even like a peanut butter protein milkshake and, a side of nuts. I don't know, whatever. I keep my things simple. If I'm hungry, it's like, okay, I will go for things like an apple, a banana, an orange. These are also foods that you can easily shove into a lunchbox and they don't go bad for at least, a day or two, right? You can keep them in your lunchbox. They don't have to be refrigerated. They're easy, healthy foods. They're low in calorie, things that will fill you up, have a lot more nutrients probably than like the Nutri-Grain bar you're probably going to eat or whatever else, other kind of snack foods, but they're easy. They're easy. You don't need a fork and knife to eat them. Again, you don't have to heat them up. You just eat them as they are, and they will hold you over until your next mealtime, until you have time to actually cook a real nutritious meal instead of having to go for like fast food or whatever. Like it's funny, I got a comment from someone, like they were, talking about how like, okay, well, a lot of times when people don't have a lot of money, like not having a lot of money can be an excuse for being fat because like, oh, like, you don't have money to buy fresh foods and this and that. And I was like, well, like honestly, there are a lot of healthy, cheap foods out there, like rice and beans, for example. Those are cheap, potatoes, those are cheap. And their comment was like, oh, well, yeah, but you're not going to just eat like rice and beans and you have to have condiments and you have to have this and that. And it just goes to show it's like the idea we have around not only what is healthy for people, but also this idea that like, oh my God, every meal needs to be like super flavorful and super, complicated and this and that. And it's like, I guarantee you there's more nutrients in eating rice and beans than there is in like your entire like McDonald's meal. Okay. I mean, less calories for sure. Okay. But not only that, less of the trans fats, saturated fats. Rice and beans has plenty of fiber, plenty of vitamins, plenty of protein. It may not be the most exciting. And yeah, maybe you can't live off of rice and beans forever, but it still is a hell of a lot less expensive, number one, and healthier than eating fast food every single day. So if your excuse is like, oh, well, that's not a complete meal. Okay, rice and beans is not a complete meal, but guarantee you, you're going to reduce your risk of heart disease if you're eating that every single day versus eating fast food. And it's cheaper. Again, if you're poor, if you're broke, beggars can't be choosers, okay? Like if that's all you can afford, then that's all you can afford. So I don't know. I don't understand, like that is a whole like other video topic for another day. But I brought it up because it's like, I think a lot of people don't realize like, hey, like, you don't have to eat like a grand like meal at every meal. Like, you know what? If you don't have a lot of options right now and you're serious about getting on track, you're serious about losing weight, then you will survive off of eating a couple apples and maybe some nuts or whatever like little snacks you bought for a few hours. Okay. You will be okay. I guarantee you it'll fill you up. You're going to be okay. It's easy. So with less excuse for you to go to the fast food, like you will be fine eating those apples until you can get home and you can make a more satisfying meal. And again, those things are easy. Those things are easy to bring in your lunchbox, okay? You can find them at any grocery store around you. So get out of the habit of thinking that you need to have like a hot meal at every meal. Get out of the habit of thinking that you have to get, food from a restaurant or a fast food place instead of going to the grocery store. And I don't know, again, you can get a can of beans from the grocery store. You can eat the can of beans right out of the can. Don't even have to heat them up, okay? You can get fruit. You can get, some yogurt. You can even get a baked potato if you have a microwave at your office. Not that it's like the best way to eat a potato is microwaved. I don't like that, but you can if you really have to, okay? So you do have options. You just have to recognize that you have options, and then you have to prioritize those, make that choice instead of the choice that you make on a regular basis. Again, changing habits, okay? The reason that skinny people stay skinny is because they have different habits than you. They prioritize different things. It's not that they are not as busy as you. It's just that they think differently and they act differently. Okay, my next tip for you is to prioritize exercise when you have the time. So again, if we're being real here, yes, especially for this person that commented, she's working like basically all day, every day. Okay. I'm not going to pretend that that's not tiring, that that's not very hard to do. And then to come home and then do some kind of workout, right? Is it really realistic also to say like, okay, you have to get up at 4 a.m. So can you get up at like 2 a.m. and then do a 30-minute workout and then go to work? Like, that's not realistic. Like, she's got to sleep at some point, right? And yes, we do have to prioritize certain things and do hard things regardless of our circumstances if we want to meet a goal. But I also think you have to be somewhat realistic. So look, I have always said and will say, I love exercise. It's amazing. And you should make it a priority in your life for sure. But honestly, when it comes to weight loss, diet is more important. You can lose weight without going to the gym regularly, without having any kind of workout routine, as long as you are eating less than you are taking in. Okay. I'm sorry. As long as you are burning more than you are eating. Okay. And you can achieve this just by doing a calorie deficit on its own. So yeah, I would say definitely when it comes to being busy and not having time to do a regular workout schedule, focus mostly on your diet. That is going to be the key for you. But also when you do have time to work out, you should work out for sure. Like if you only have one day off a week, spend at least 30 minutes to an hour on that day off working out. Okay. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Maybe you're just doing a walk. Maybe, you're going for a run. I mean, I don't know, whatever it is that you like to do, but yeah, make that a priority, make that part of your life because exercise is important, not only for your health and for losing weight, but also for maintenance. So again, this goes back to being intentional about your time. Yeah. When you have the time off, spend that going to a workout class. Okay. Again, make this your new habit. Remember, skinny people have different priorities. That's why they stay skinny. Okay. Fit people have different priorities. That's why they stay fit. So make this your new reality. If on, usually on your day off, you just did whatever it is that you were doing, whether it's doing chores or just laying around, you could find at least 30 minutes to an hour for a workout. Okay. I think we all can find that time if we prioritize it. And you know what? If all you can do is that one day a week, that's better than nothing. I mean, I think too, some people will use like the excuse of not having enough time. Like, well, I don't have time to work out 3 or 4 days a week, so I guess I'll just stay fat. You know what I mean? Like they use those excuses to like not even try, or it's like, well, if I can't do it perfectly, if I can't do it exactly this way, then I'm just going to stay fat or I'm not going to try. And in reality, it's just, that's not really how life works. And that doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's like that all or nothing mentality, which I'm sure we've all, done before. I mean, I've been there myself too. But like I said, just because you can't work out doesn't mean that you can't lose weight. Okay, it doesn't, because again, it comes down to your diet, right? So work out when you can, for sure. Try to be more intentional about your daily movements, right? Try to get more steps in when you can. All these things add up, okay? And they're all good for you. They all will help you eventually reach your goal. But having a consistent workout schedule is not like the end all be all when it comes to weight loss. Do it when you can, and don't use not being able to work out as an excuse for you to not lose weight, because again, it really comes down to your diet. Okay, finally, my last tip may sound kind of crazy to some of you, but my last tip is to move or get a different job. So for example, this person, this woman that left this comment, yeah, it sounds like she has a crazy job. It sounds like, her commute might be long. It doesn't sound like an awesome lifestyle, to be honest, right? I don't think anyone wants that. I don't think anyone wants to have to commute like 2 hours or however long she commutes and then, get up at 4 a.m. and not get home till like closer to 8, right? That sounds awful. It doesn't sound very sustainable. And look, I know that like sometimes we have no choice. Like this is just what she's doing right now. It's not like, I know it's not so easy to just be like, oh, I'm just going to get a different job and make more money and move to a whole different town. It's not that easy. I get it. But I do think that you changing your lifestyle and like not even just trying to eat healthier or work out, but really again, like your surroundings, right? Your environment really does play a part in not only your physical health, your mental health, right? It really does influence you. And like I said, not having a lot of time, right? Having to get up at 4 a.m., not getting home till 8 p.m. I mean, that's draining for anyone. That's going to make it harder for anyone, I think, to live any kind of healthy lifestyle for sure. It doesn't sound fun. So if anyone has an excuse, for sure, people like that have that kind of schedule that are working that hard, their excuses are a lot more valid than most others, okay? Is it impossible? No, but it's definitely going to make it harder. So if you can find ways to not make it harder, to make your lifestyle easier, to make your lifestyle so that it is more congruent with being able to eat healthier, work out more. If you can find ways to change your environment, then I would suggest you do it. And again, I know it's easier said than done, but also sometimes it is actually easier to do than you think. Like, I say this for people who just, I don't know, maybe never thought that was like a possibility, but I do think that there is something that, when you decide on making a change and you put it out there, whether, you just put it out there to the universe, you like physically put it out there and start telling people that, hey, I want a different change. I'm looking for a different job or whatever. You never know what will pop up. I mean, it might not happen instantly, but I do think that like once you just kind of put motion towards that goal, like you would be surprised what happens. So if you really are in like a weird job situation and for whatever reason you think that, oh, this is the only job I can ever get, this is my situation right now. I mean, I don't know, maybe try looking for something else. Like literally, what could hurt? Trying to like look online, look for a different job opening, maybe explore like a different city, ask around, ask your friends if, there's anything, that they've heard of. I mean, again, like you never know until you try. You never know until you ask. This could be something like maybe it's not your job, but it's like you just don't have a lot of time because, you have kids to take care of. Again, maybe ask around. Maybe there's a friend or a friend of a friend who wouldn't mind like babysitting for you sometimes, or, who knows? Like there might be more people in your life that are willing to help than you think. There might be more opportunities in your life than you think, but you won't know until you kind of take that step and you move towards it. So if there is something about your environment, I mean, maybe it's even like the weather. Okay. Maybe it's like the state or the city you live in. I know for a fact that, living in colder climates makes me a lot more lazy. Like it just makes me like a lot more depressed, especially in the wintertime when like you just don't want to leave your house. I mean, I remember being in New York City and it would be like 5 degrees and it's like, well, there's no way I'm leaving the house. I can't even like move because I'm so cold. And like, the heat in our apartment was so crappy. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just not congruent for a healthy lifestyle. I feel like in New York City too, like there was a lot of drinking and partying, which I definitely took part of. Definitely not congruent with a healthy lifestyle. And it was like moving out of that, where I started to, I started my health journey again, and definitely moving to Florida as well. There's something about being in the sunshine all the time. Okay. People are happier. It's nicer and warmer out. I'm more motivated to go for walks. I'm more motivated to be healthy and active. And you see that a lot. Like we live in like a city in Florida where like we're known for having a lot of like Olympic athletes come to train here for whatever reason. I don't know why, but anyway, but when we go on the trails and stuff, we see a lot of fit people. Like they are really fit. They're all tan. They're all beautiful. They're all super fit. And it's like when we go on those trails, we're like, oh damn, like, okay, I guess we need to train for a half marathon now. You know what I mean? So it is more motivating. So yeah, your environment plays a big role. If there is a way that you can change that environment and maybe it is affecting you more than you think, maybe, you need a change. I think that especially if you're younger, you have no kids. I mean, why not? If you feel like, okay, you're living in, I don't know, like Minnesota or something, right? It's supposed to be really cold there all the time. I don't know. I feel like I would be miserable there. I can't take the cold, So if that is something that is making it harder for you on your weight loss journey, then yeah, consider making a change. Maybe it's, like I said, changing your job. If you can find something that, is either less hours or closer to your house, right? Again, all these little things can help you make more time for yourself and can help make your journey easier. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like these tips, then please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. As always, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments, so let me know, and I will see you guys next time.